Hello and welcome to Political Theatre. India is the largest democracy in the world and the twists and turns in the world of Indian politics attract everyone's attention. Several political developments take place simultaneously across the country, making it difficult for the people to keep a track of these events and understand their impact. In the next half an hour, we'll bring to you the top political events of the week and analyze and decode them for you. So let's begin with the big story of the week. The opposition's notice for removal of Chief Justice of India Deepak Mishra was rejected by Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu this week. The notice was moved by 64 MPs of 7 opposition parties led by Congress. This also led to an angry exchange between both the opposition and the ruling side.
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu this week rejected the notice given by opposition parties led by the Congress for the removal of Chief Justice of India Deepak Mishra. In a 10-page order, the chairman said that the petition lacked substantial merit and that the allegations were neither tenable nor admissible. The Rajya Sabha chairman also said the decision was taken after due diligence of over a month and after holding extensive consultations with top legal and constitutional experts. He said, and I quote, "I have since been working on the provisions, procedures and precedents in the matter given the serious nature of the proposal and its implications and the imperative need for a timely decision. The concerned law, the Judges Inquiry Act of 1968 Section 3, clearly required the chairman of Rajya Sabha to look for prima facie in the matter for either admitting the notice or refusing to do so. A clear responsibility was cast on the chairman in this regard, and it would not be correct to interpret the role of the chairman as that of mere post office. Chairman is required to act as a constitutional functionary, which is a substantial responsibility." The chairman also said that the Chief Justice of India is the highest judicial functionary of the country and any issue in public domain concerning him requires to be resolved at the earliest following prescribed procedures. Chairman's order has been welcomed by the legal fraternity.
And if the Vice President, after applying his mind, has given reasons why he thinks the material is not sufficient, then I think it should be accepted. It's a bona fide decision which he has given.
The most perfect decision has been taken by the Honorable Chairman of Rajya Sabha. There could not be any other decision on this issue. He applied his mind properly. He consulted the legal experts and other prudent people, and thereafter he took the decision not to admit this motion.
7 opposition parties led by the Congress had moved the notice last week, accusing the Chief Justice of India of 5 counts of misbehaviour. The opposition leaders had met Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu and handed over the notice with signatures of 64 MPs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
For more on the story, we are joined by a political analyst of the week, Ms. Aditi Phadnis, political editor of the Business Standard. Ma'am, welcome to Rajya Sabha TV once again. This particular issue, the entire issue of the notice of removal of the Chief Justice of India, which was given by the opposition, has been in the news in the first half of this week. Quite an important one, and quite sharp political reactions came in. It was a swift decision which was taken by the Vice President, and after due deliberations, consultations with all stakeholders, legal luminaries as well. Politically, how do you see this issue moving ahead from here onwards?
Well, I think the numbers in Parliament are very clear that there's not a faint hope of the impeachment notice going through. Even before the Vice President could decide, it was very clear. The Vice President's decision is decisive and it is unambiguous, so I don't think there's any argument about that. But there is a sense that the institution has been damaged by this controversy. I'm not attributing motives, I'm not attributing whose fault it is, I'm not saying who did this, but the fact is that the institution has suffered some knocks.
And both sides will definitely continue this against each other.
I think it will continue and it will carry on out in the open court, the court of the people. We have to see now whether the judgment of judges themselves is impaired or damaged by this kind of polarization that is taking place in the judiciary, it's not a good thing.
Okay, if you leave judiciary aside, this is an election year, and issues like this are bound to create that friction between the government and the opposition to that extent, wherein both sides would definitely want to gain political mileage over each other. So situation from here onwards, and with issues like these coming in public domain, would not be a hunky-dory one as far as the relation between opposition and government is concerned.
No, indeed, and we are waiting for the monsoon session where some echo of this will definitely be felt. There will be some resonance of this whole controversy in the monsoon session. We have to see if, our politicians are intelligent and they are mature. So, while they have taken positions, we have to see now with what maturity and with how much care they conduct themselves when Parliament reconvenes.
Okay, Parliament reconvenes. We'll have to see and wait and watch as to what issues are given top priorities by both the opposition and the ruling side. We'll take a short break here, but when we come back, we will give you the details of the ongoing electoral battle in the state of Karnataka, where both BJP and Congress are once again facing each other with another important player, the JDS. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The battle lines are drawn for the electoral battle in Karnataka, which will take place after 2 weeks. While the ruling Congress has released its election manifesto, the other two important players, BJP and JDS, are also likely to do so in next few days.
This week witnessed a lot of hectic political activity in Karnataka, with both Congress and BJP making last-minute changes in their lineup for some constituencies. While Chief Minister Siddaramaiah chose to play safe at the last moment by filing nomination papers from one more seat, Badami, BJP decided not to field its CM candidate Yediyurappa's son from Varuna's seat, leading to protests by his supporters.
येदियुरप्पा जी को वरुणा विधानसभा सीट उनके पुत्र को डिनाई की गई है जबरन तरीके से, और जिस प्रकार रोष शाह और मोदी की जोड़ी के खिलाफ है, ये दिखाता है कि अब येदियुरप्पा जी 75 वर्ष के हो गए। अब इस बात की तैयारी जारी है कि उनको भी मार्गदर्शक मंडल भेज दिया जाए।
कांग्रेस पार्टी सिद्धरामैया के भरोसे चुनाव में उतरी है, मगर सिद्धरामैया जी खुद मैदान छोड़कर भागते हैं। सिद्धरामैया जी भाग कर कितना भागोगे? चामुंडेश्वर से बदामी आए, यहाँ पर भी श्री लामलू आपको हराने के लिए तैयार खड़े हैं।
Battle lines are drawn for the forthcoming electoral battle in the state, with 2,665 candidates in fray for the 224 assembly constituencies, which includes 1,155 independents and 219 women. While BJP is contesting all 224 seats, ruling Congress has fielded candidates on 222, JDS on 201 and BSP on 18 seats. Congress also released its manifesto promising 1 crore jobs and a push for Kannada culture. The BJP, however, countered the move by highlighting the unfulfilled promises of the ruling party in the state. Main opposition party is also set to come up with separate manifestos for all 224 assembly seats, in addition to one for the entire state. JDS is also likely to release its set of promises in the next few days.
This is not a manifesto that has been made by 3 or 4 people in a closed room. And I'm proud to say that 5 years ago, the government of Karnataka promised you some things, and we delivered on those things.
5 वर्षों तक सिद्धरामैया सरकार ने कर्नाटका में उचित शासन या गवर्नेंस किया होता, तो आज आपके पास ऐसे कोई पॉइंट्स होते कि आपने क्या अचीवमेंट किया। आपने अपने अचीवमेंट के बारे में एक भी शब्द नहीं बताया और केवल भाजपा के ऊपर आक्रमण करते रहे। ये दिखाता है कि कहीं ना कहीं कांग्रेस पार्टी पूरी तरह से फेल रही है कर्नाटका के गवर्नेंस को लेकर।
One chief minister has given the best administration or the worst administration. It's for the people to respond.
Star campaigners of all 3 major political parties have also fanned across the state to campaign for their candidates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with his party's candidates in the state through his Namo app. PM will embark on a campaign trail in the state from next week and is likely to address 20 rallies in various districts.
Ms. Phadnis is still with us. Ma'am, Karnataka is one battle wherein stakes are getting higher with each passing day, and the kind of comments which are coming from both sides, rather from all three sides. The JDS doesn't seem to be, opening up its cards as of now. They are in alliance with the BSP. The Congress has released its manifesto. The BJP is likely to release one each for each constituency. So quite an interesting battle here.
Yes, indeed, and this is going to be a decisive week. When we are going to hear, because nominations are now finalized, whatever scope there was of discontent is now, that phase is over, and we now know exactly who is pitted against whom. This week, we are probably going to hear a lot of very important speeches. There's going to be a lot of travel by top leaders. You're going to hear impassioned appeals and testaments of work done by various groups. So, I would not be hazardous enough to take a guess about who's winning and who's losing. But on the whole, it looks as if both BJP and Congress have an equal handicap or edge.
Okay.
And
a bit early in the day to go ahead and stick your neck out, because the Prime Minister is entering the campaign arena from next week onwards. But if you look at both camps, and specifically the way Siddaramaiah at the last moment decided to contest from a safe constituency, has that sent some message across to the opposition camp that yes, there are some chinks in the armor there in the ruling party?
Well, there are bound to be, because he's been in government for the last 5 years. So, of course, there will be people who will be judging his performance on the performance of his government. So, of course, there are chinks in the armor. But on the whole, the Congress government has done quite a lot, which you cannot immediately spot, if you are a newcomer there. On the other hand, it's also true that there are serious problems about water. There's a climate change problem in Karnataka which is very prevalent. The urban issues of traffic management and other things, urban infrastructures are also big problems. So the BJP is promising a whole lot of new things. The Congress in its manifesto has offered 1 crore jobs to be created in the next 5 years.
That's a huge number.
I'm not sure if it's possible to achieve that, but that's another matter. So all in all, this is a very exciting time, and it kind of renews your faith in parliamentary democracy.
And let's not forget the third player here, the JDS as well.
Well, of course, and JDS is strong in the area that contributes the maximum number of seats. Old Mysore contributes 61 seats out of 224 in the Karnataka Assembly. So it's the biggest chunk. And so therefore it automatically becomes very important. It becomes very significant in the political equation.
Okay, so clearly it is quite an interesting and an important battle, not only for both the national parties but for regional players like JDS as well. We'll have to wait and watch as to whether or not, as Ms. Phadnis was pointing out, the issues which matter to the people will finally be the one which will decide as to who will win. We'll come back again after the break to go ahead and give you the details of what has transpired across the country this week. Stay tuned. Welcome back. From political developments in Delhi to West Bengal and Assam, let's take a look at what all transpired in the political arena across the country this week.
The Congress appointed senior leader Kamal Nath as the president of its Madhya Pradesh unit and Jyotiraditya Scindia as the campaign committee chief for the state. The appointments were cleared by party president Rahul Gandhi. The party also appointed 4 working presidents in the Madhya Pradesh state unit. Meanwhile, Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje met BJP President Amit Shah to finalize the name of the new state chief. 2 months after quitting Trinamool Congress, former Indian football captain Baichung Bhutia launched his political party, Hamro Sikkim, this week. The party will be based in his native state, Sikkim. Baichung said he has returned to his roots as he failed to get rid of the outsider tag in West Bengal politics. Bhutia lost both 2014 general election and 2016 assembly election on the Trinamool ticket. He also has differences with Trinamool over the formation of Gorkhaland. Almost 2 years after coming to power, Assam CM Sarbanand Sonowal expanded his cabinet this week by inducting 7 new ministers. Out of the 7 new inductees in the cabinet, 1 each belong to BJP's allies in the state, AGP and PPF. However, some BJP leaders expressed their displeasure, accusing Sonowal of failing to keep the balance of community-wise representation in his Council of Ministers. Tribal organizations in the state also called for a day-long bandh. The Congress party has demanded a probe from the Civil Aviation Ministry after a plane carrying Congress President Rahul Gandhi developed a technical snag en route pole-bound Karnataka. In a letter, the party demanded a thorough probe into the suspicious and faulty performance of the aircraft before landing at the Hubli airport in North Karnataka. Later, the DGCA issued a clarification that there was a snag in autopilot and such incidents are not uncommon. Sitaram Yechuri was unanimously elected as CP and General Secretary at the party's 22nd Congress in Hyderabad. Speaking after getting elected, Yechuri said that defeating religion-based politics will be the party's prime objective at the general elections next year. Yechuri added that the non-BJP and non-Congress Third Front should have a strong basis and policy under which it should be performed, as it would fail if it was performed with the sole aim of coming to power. Yechuri's election to the post for the second time was approved by the Left Party's newly elected 95-member Central Committee. West Bengal Panchayat election will be held in a single phase on May 14th. Any repoll, if needed, will be held on May 16th and the date of counting will be notified later. Earlier, the elections were scheduled to be held in 3 phases in May, but the Calcutta High Court had stayed the poll process and directed to reschedule the election dates after opposition parties submitted a plea, alleging that Trinamool members would not allow them to file nominations.
Several political situations led to interesting comments by political leaders in a bid to counter each other's claims. We have shortlisted the best ones for you in Face Off.
We will certainly move a petition in the Supreme Court to challenge this order.
बजट सेशन में पूरा बिना कोई कारण पार्लियामेंट चलने नहीं दिया। अभी होकर के भारत के महामहिम उपराष्ट्रपति के जो निर्णय है, जो संविधान के तहत निर्णय है और उनके अधिकार क्षेत्र में है, उस निर्णय के बारे में प्रश्न चिन्ह खड़ा कर रही है।
देखिए, सलमान खुर्शीद का आज का बयान सिर्फ बयान नहीं है, बल्कि कांग्रेस के गुनाह को उन्होंने तस्लीम किया। ये कबूलनामा है कि कांग्रेस ने आज़ादी के बाद इस देश में दंगे की राजनीति की।
कांग्रेस पार्टी अकेली ऐसी पार्टी है जिन्होंने आज़ादी से पहले या आज़ादी के बाद हमेशा सभी वर्ग को एक साथ लेके देश को आगे बढ़ाने का काम किया है और हमेशा ऐसे तत्वों से लड़ाई लड़ी है जो देश को, समाज को जात और धर्म के आधार पर बांट के राजनीति करते हैं।
Apart from television studios, protest marches and public rallies, politicians were also busy taking a dig at each other and making their point on social media. Let's take a look at what all transpired in the virtual world of Indian politics.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley took to Twitter to take on the Congress on the issue of the opposition's notice for removal of Chief Justice of India. He said the notice given by the opposition was not based on tenable evidence and the Congress is capable of dragging judges in unsavoury controversy. Senior Congress leader and former Minister Kapil Sibal responded by tweeting a link of his article in the newspaper on the matter where he has defended the Congress's decision of moving a notice against the CJI. With just 2 weeks left for polling in the assembly elections in Karnataka, war of words on Twitter is heating up between the Congress and the BJP. BJP from its official Twitter handle targeted Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and said that the Chief Minister is anxious over being rejected by his constituents on May 12th. BJP's outburst came after Siddaramaiah targeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi and UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on social media. Siddaramaiah had claimed the Saffron Party had no leaders in the state and that the party was reduced to importing North Indian leaders for the party's poll campaign in the state. A rare bonhomie between the leaders of rival political parties, the Congress and BJP, was witnessed on Twitter this week. Senior Congress leader Kamal Nath, who was made president of the party's Madhya Pradesh unit, received congratulatory messages from Chief Minister Shivraj Chauhan and senior BJP leader Kailash Vijayvargiya. Kamal Nath promptly acknowledged the wishes from his political rivals in the state as well as those from his own party colleagues.
So this was the summary of twists and turns in the world of Indian politics this week. We will be back again next week with some more interesting information and analysis. Till then, we will leave you with these visuals. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.